Have to keep that smoker going, Erin. So whenever we're doing an inspection, we're going to open up all the hives that are around us. And that's to give ourselves enough space. So if you've got the end hive, open up the one next to you. If you've got the middle hive, open up one on either side of you. And as you might recall, on your hives, on the Gen 2, you've got to go left to right for opening, right to left for closing, because the little knobs are in weird places. I'm going to trip over my camera. So we're going to inspect this one. So we've got our little pry bar. Not going to be a big issue with very young colonies at this point, but when you start to have 2 or 3 supers and it full of bees, you very well could be having to break propolis seals. So what we would do is we just put the little pry bar here, hold the bar, and just give it a little tweak. And that helps break the propolis seal all the way around it. Not necessary for this one. So on this one, I honestly have no idea what I'm going to see. Why are we stuck? I take my tool and I just pry around the actual little seal here. And we go nice and slow. You're going to have bees on your inner lid. We want to take a good look at this inner lid. We'll lift it up carefully, inspect your inner lid, and you want to make sure your queen is not on here. Right. Very, very slim chance she is, but the time you don't look at it is the time she's going to be on there. So we take a good look at it, and then we're going to set it aside, someplace where we're not going to step on it. I'll often take the door that I've taken off, and I just put it on the ground, so that if I have to lay a frame here, I can put it on top of that so it's not right on the ground. This is a very small split that I put in the day after you guys installed your nukes.
There's no nectar. There's no nectar.
How do you know?
Well, there's no.
Oh, I did not put a feeder on this.
Okay.
I put feeder frames instead.
Okay.
So I don't always feed my new colonies right off the bat.
Okay.
That's a choice that I've made. So just because of the camera, I'm just going to move this around just a little bit so I don't step on stuff. You're going to have one less frame than I do. This is a 9-frame brood chamber. When we are inspecting, we try to take out a key frame first, a frame that we're pretty much going to take out that's just going to make space so that we can work a little bit easier. You're going to find the best way that you can work with your tool. Sometimes it's turning it this way, sometimes it's turning it this way. I have some frames that have shoulders on them, some that don't. Your 4 nuke frames from last week all have shoulders on them. So you may want to take the flat end of your tool and just gently move the bees out of the way and put the hard end down and just give a little twist to break any wax that's formed in between them. I don't have to do that on this particular one, but you'll see it right away when you open up yours. So I'm going to take out this 2nd frame. And I believe I set this up exactly the same way as yours were, with a virgin frame. So they're just barely starting to draw that out.
Yeah.
If this was a typical spring, it would be all drawn out already.
Right.
So this frame I'm just going to take out. I'm going to double check to make sure my queen's on here. There's not a whole lot of reason a queen would be on a naked frame. And I'm just going to set this aside. So now I have all this extra room in here to be able to manipulate the colony. I like using the impressive tool that I could club somebody with. And I'm just going to move the frames apart from each other. And again, I could use the flat side or I could use the J side. And I'm going to recommend for you guys, because you're starting out and learning how to handle your frame and your tool at the same time, set your tool down. Shove it in the door if you want to. When we're going to go pick up our frame, we're going to, if we're not using smoke, you can see how calm these guys are without smoke. We're just going to say, excuse me, if there's any on the side. And we're going to pull our frame out, and you're going to try to grab it where the shoulder would be. You're going to pull it straight up. And this is a frame that doesn't have tons of bees on it, not a lot of stuff going on. Take your index finger, wrap it underneath the frame, and lock it in with your thumb at the top. Use your middle finger. Your middle finger is what's going to help guide the frame and move it around so that you can do it. This is all wrist. But you've got a really strong hold on it. You're not going to drop it. If you were holding it like this, your chances of losing your grip are pretty good. And it's an interesting dance that you do when you drop a frame.
Yeah.
So keep your fingers locked in. So I'm going to turn it up like this, and I'm going to look and see what is actually on this frame. And you can see how calm they are without having any smoke. They're just doing their bee thing. But if I want to move them out of the way and look to see what's going on the rest of what's going on the real estate of the frame, you can use your breath. And on this frame, I'm seeing all sorts of different types of pollen. That's the different colored spots.
Mm-hmm.
And you see there's shiny cells as well. That's nectar. So on this frame, the queen hasn't really been here to put any babies in.
Right.
But what I would try to do, and again, this is a good frame to practice on because there's not a lot of bee population. The sun is up there, so I would try to look at it like this to try to get the sun to shine into the bottom of the cell to see what I could see at the bottom of the cell. But they're just chilling. We all come up with a pattern when we're searching for the queen or we're looking at the frame. I recommend you come up with your own pattern, either looking up and down or left to right, and keep that pattern as your pattern. It just becomes second nature to look at the frames. So when we're putting it back in, this is a little bit different than other systems because we've got a divider here. So you're going in on a bit of an angle, and you're going to have to reposition your fingers just a little bit so we're not gripping underneath as much. We're going back to holding it on the bumps on the frame, and use the space that you have. So you don't have to put it down right beside the other one. Use the extra big space that you've made, and you can use your fingers or your tool to give you that extra space again. So I'm going to grab my tool again, and I'll do it the way with the flat end. And for the most part, the bees are not really interested in what we're doing as long as we're not rough. When we get into squishing bees, their attitude changes pretty quick. Those of you that are wearing leather gloves will have less sensation of when you squish a bee.
Right.
Anyone who's wearing rubber gloves, you're going to be able to feel it a little bit more. And it's a very different experience being able to feel the bees. We try to not make fast movements. So everything is very slow, very choreographed. Take your time. Most of the time when I get stung, it's because I've backed into a bee's butt. So again, I come straight up. Sometimes there's bees under there. And sometimes you have to flick them off. Don't you go stinging me, please.
Did it sting you?
Nope.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just patience.
Yeah.
So again, I'm going to turn this over. There's some last little bit of capped brood here from the last batch, and there's some bees that are emerging right now.
Cool.
So there's a queen, or not a queen, there's a worker bee emerging right in the middle there. She's starting to chew out her own cell. Yep, exactly. And there's one that's bottoms up, cleaning out their own cell from just emerging from it. So at the same time here, I'm looking down into the bottom of those cells to see if there's another egg in place yet. I do not see that yet on this frame. But I do think I see eggs at the bottom of the cells on this frame. Yeah. So this frame has eggs at the very bottom, about 2 or 3 day old eggs because they're laying on their side. And what I'll get you to do is you kind of have to get the sun at the right angle to be able to see the bee at the bottom, the egg at the bottom of the cell. It takes time. Give yourself some grace on being able to identify eggs. They're unbelievably tiny. And there is a little bit of a shape at the bottom of the cell as well that can often cause a reflection to make you think you saw an egg and you didn't necessarily see it.
Big bee.
That is a boy. So if you want to practice handling bees, grab a boy. They can't hurt you. They've got no stinger. They're a little slow. They're a little dopey. Anybody else want a boy? Boy. Anybody else want a boy? Boy.
So Sandra, when you get to the other side,
Yeah.
at the bottom there, those are male bee down at the bottom. The larger, no, I'm gonna flip it around. At the bottom there.
Here.
Yeah.
So
it
this is
larger
actually
ones?
one of those practice
Practice
cup we were
cells?
talking about.
Okay.
And I would just stick my finger through that or stick my tool through it. They're nothing really. So
Okay.
this colony isn't under stress, so we're not generally going to see cells, big cells at the bottom.
Okay.
But a typical placement for a healthy queen when she's laying drones will be to lay a row at the bottom.
Right. Okay.
But what you're seeing here, they're really, really chill. So that next generation is being made right now. But you can also see, if you guys all come close, they're all lining up. I don't usually like narrate this loud in front of the bees, so they're all lining up to see what I'm doing. All in a little row. I mean, this is the giant looking down on their home.
Right.
So they're a little bit on guard to make sure I don't do anything crazy with their home. And you know, if I do something crazy, then they're going to start flying at me. But you can see the amount of lack of bee
Yeah.
traffic. It's
Yeah.
not the same as when we installed the nukes. It's much
Yeah.
calmer.
So the frames you have above are your feeder
Dwarfs.
frames?
What's that?
The frames you have above are your feeder frames?
They're from what was in here before, but the bees are welcome to go and eat that.
Yeah.
So on here, these are some of those queen cells we were talking about. So that's where I'll just go and check. They're empty. If they're practice cells for the bees, they're just going to remake it. So me doing that doesn't really do a whole lot. They can rebuild that in a day.
That's a big one. Is that
Where? Come closer if you want to see. It's okay.
a drone. That's a drone, right?
Yep, this is a boy.
Okay. These are big ones.
Here's your boy.
Hey, baby.
That's the guy.
You're totally welcome to use the edge of your box for balancing if you need that third point. And you're just starting out, so learning how to handle a frame with thousands of bees on it, use what you can to make it as easy for yourself as possible, to make it as stress-free as possible for you. So what I'm doing, I'm just having a quick look for the queen. And again, there are eggs in the bottom of all of those cells, if anybody wants to take a look.
See some pollen on it there?
Oh, the little white things. Oh, there's lots of them, huh?
Yep.
Slightly sort of orangey. You want to see?
Well, they're white.
White.
And actually right here, there is another quite mature queen cell. I gotta see it from the other side. May I borrow your tool? This one. See what's going on here. Empty cell. Yay.
Sandra, was that drone here? Drone cell? No, on this side.
Where?
This
Right here? Yep.
That's drone?
So this little bit of bigger one, here's another one right here. Drone cells are bigger. And actually there's someone cleaning out this drone cell right here. So they're gonna look like popcorn on the frame. Regular worker cells are gonna look nice and flat, and the drone cells are gonna look big. They're usually in a little bit of a cluster, but those ones have already emerged. And you can see that there was more down here, because the cells are actually a fair bit bigger.
Show me the eggs once again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't-
The eggs are hard to see. So there's eggs at the bottom of almost all of these empty cells.
See if it's-
No, I saw them. They're really actually, they were
Yep, so I'm gonna, right here, so right here in this area, it's all full of
Little white things?
little white things. They look like little
Oh
grains
my
of
God.
rice.
They will.
Like
Tiny.
what?
A grain of rice.
I got.
A tiny, tiny grain of
Yes,
rice.
yes, yes, yes.
I do not have that.
And don't feel bad if it's something that you can't see. There's experienced beekeepers that have a hard time seeing that.
So they're kind of maybe the size of a
I
little
don't see anything.
hibiscus or
Even smaller. Even smaller. Like,
polenta, maybe?
I would almost have to see like a grain of that
Yeah.
to tell you for sure. But when the queen first lays them, they stand on end. They're almost impossible to see then because you're looking at the tiniest spot of them. 2 or 3 days they fall down and then they hatch out of their egg. That's when it's easier to see them.
So maybe having a magnifying glass on
Absolutely.
Glasses, yeah.
a string or something.
So what I see in this colony, and this was a split from another hive, there's a lot of boys, which is not uncommon for this time of the year, but an older queen might be laying more boys than is necessary because she's starting to run out of semen. And that's what I'm seeing with a lot of my older queens, that they're doing what's called superseding her. The queen is on this frame. I'm just going to balance this here. Can you see her? There's no blue dot, so this is from my own. This is from my own numbers. So she's not marked.
I see her.
The needle, yeah.
She's right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have seen her.
And
I would have
she's
thought she was a
bigger.
girl.
Yeah, I would have thought she would be bigger.
Not
Yeah.
like the black.
Her wings don't go all the way to the end.
So if we're calm enough, like the frame is real, they're really chill here. She will continue to just walk around the frame, and we might even get to see her lay an egg.
Oh, she's walking up there. Okay, I see her.
So she's on. This one's almost twice the size of the other bees, but she's very likely 3 years old.
I would have
now
thought she was
walking up
bigger.
towards the top.
Yeah.
They can be even bigger than this.
Yeah. Is this? I don't have the eye for this. Wow.
So she's
Okay,
right
yeah,
here. This, if you're good at finding things like 4-leaf clovers,
Oh God.
but again, we don't have to find her. It's a thrill to find her, but we already saw that there were eggs, so
Yeah.
we know
Yeah.
that she's been here in at least the last couple of days. So me as a commercial beekeeper, there's nothing of concern I've seen on these frames. If I was doing this as one of my 100 colonies, I would now close it up.
Right.
But if I had gone through and I had found other concerning things like a couple of supersedure cells or some swarm cells, I would go through every frame to make sure that they weren't there.
And we haven't seen any queen cell yet. Right?
No.
Other queen cell.
No, we saw cups. We saw empty cups. So they're still happy with her at this point.
And the capped brown ones.
These ones, these are
Yes.
girls.
Those are girls.
Those are all girls.
And the capped white ones.
This is honey.
Yeah.
So if a classic awesome frame is a frame that has a little bit of everything. So if this is the bottom of the frame, you'd see a sunshine shape with all the brood, and then you'd see resources up in the corners, either honey or nectar.
Okay.
So she's just making her way. She just does this all day long, back and forth, back and forth.
Hanging around.
That's what I think too much.
No,
At this point, she doesn't have any attendants following.
she's
her,
laying
right?
an egg.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that.
So she just dropped her abdomen into the
yeah.
bottom of the cell,
Yeah.
and now she's moving on.
Well, that's fast.
Oh yeah. She'll stick her head in, so she's gonna lay in this one right now. Or maybe not.
No.
She's got to inspect it first. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. I spooked her. There she
Oh, there
goes.
she is. There she goes.
And you see how all the other bees are around her? She's hanging out a little bit longer down there. So here's a waggle dance right in front of her.
Okay.
So the other bees are going to clean up any waste from her backside. They're going to feed her. They're going to make sure that she's ready to go. And they're going to check in to see on the egg that she just laid. to make sure that everything is right. And now she just moves on, pushes her way through. So the colony, a queen that will lay in front of an audience like this is pretty awesome. That means that this is a very chill colony and a very healthy colony. Why are we eating my fingers? What are we doing? So I'm going to put her away now so that we don't spook her. And again, you can see the angle that I'm going at. And I can't use my finger right now because I've got company.
Some honey on it or something.
There we go. It just tastes good. So if and when I find the queen on a frame, I'm going to try to protect her for the rest of the inspection. So I'm going to try to not touch the frames around her and not squish the frames super, super tight, because that's the one queen, the one bee in the hive that we don't want to disturb. So as I said, if this was you guys, I would say go through all the rest of your frames. I'm going to close it up now.
Because you haven't seen anything that.
I haven't seen anything that's
Particular.
concerning here. But as practice for you guys, you go through all the frames. And what we try to do, and it's not 100% necessary, but it's good practice. That key frame that you took out, put it back where it came from on a regular inspection. What I'm going to do once you guys open up your hives, I'm going to give you all guidance on how to reorganize your frames, because you're going to have a cluster of 4 frames in the middle that you put in last week. You're going to take those empty frames that the bees haven't really been on, and you're going to put them in between those black frames, so that we can encourage the queen to tell the other bees to go, get that ready, I got some eggs I gotta lay. So I'm going to put that back. And if there's bees in the way, we just sort of bounce the frame back down, and that gives the bees that are underneath it an opportunity to buzz off. The very last thing that we do, we take our divider. This had bees on it. It might still have bees on it after this. If it still has bees, we walk it around to the front of the hive. And I'm going to say, assume this is the front of the hive so you don't have to follow me. If this had a whole bunch of bees on it, I'd walk it around to the front and give it a tap on one of the legs, and all the bees would come off. Just one quick tap. You could do it on the ground as well, but I like just having a little bit of solidness. Yeah. Then I'm going to take a look at what I got here, and we're going to do a quick cleanup. We want our equipment to be as clean as possible, and the cleaner it is, the easier it is going to be for you the next time. I'll take my door, because this is a good surface. Set it on that. We're going to give it a quick scrape. You can see in only 2 weeks the amount of phosphorus that they've built up. And just give it a quick scrape. You might have to scrape the other side as well. Less stuff you have to do at this point than a month or so in advance when you've got more hives on, more chambers. When we put the lid back on, you slide it to the back, and you could have bees all over the edge here. We're going to give them the opportunity to get out of the way just by going down slow and bouncing it very slowly to get them to get out of the way. Get our lid on square. Give it a push back in, holding the lid and the drawer at the same time. And I'm not pushing hard, I'm just trying to push even. Get it nice and solidly in there. If you guys have your feeders on, you have to put your feeders back in and refill them. We want to give the bees every opportunity to draw out that comb. We take our wax and our propolis. And because we didn't bring that, we put it in our pockets. And close everybody back up again. And then we step aside and we go do our inspection report. Sound good?
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
I think you have to go right now, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, we will get your hive inspected.
Thank you. For
Which number are you? You're
number 1.
Number 1 on,
The first one
on this one?
on the right-hand side, yeah.
Okay, perfect, on the grapes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you. I'll take your tools. If you want to leave
I will.
your veil up there, I can put it away for you.
I'll put it away.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
See everybody.
Excellent. You're welcome to get started. I'm going to ask you to inspect Jeff's colony for him.
Okay.
Actually, both of you together.
Yep. What number is Joe?
I'm just going to double check, but I believe he's the number 1 on the grapes.
Okay.
And Yan, I want to get you to inspect Maricella's, and she is number 2 on the roses. And everybody else has their own hive. You are number 4 on the roses.
He's starting from the left.
Yeah, you're always starting from the left.
Okay.
But I'll double check. I'm going to check my numbers on here.